Hi, welcome to Now We're Talking. I'm Julie.
And I'm Scott.
And we're switching things up today. We're going to start different. We need to be a little more spur of the moment, I think.
So does that mean you're coming up with all the topics and everything?
What does that mean? That's not opposite. I come up with topics.
Well, go ahead then.
Well, I don't have one today. I didn't even want to do it today, but here we are.
Here we are. All right. Well, I got a couple quick things before we get to our main topic. And our first one, this is my little, it's a little known fact, Nami. And I don't know, this is one of those random things that I came across on the interwebs. And they were talking about, I think I saw it. I was actually, we were watching something. I think I was watching an old episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. And Gene Stapleton was in it.
Oh.
And so, I don't know.
Edith.
Yeah. And so I saw this little factoid about some earlier work that she did. And she was in a show, or at least one episode of a show called The Defenders. And that was in 1962. At that point, she was an unknown actress. You know, it was probably like one of her first roles. She played a woman who witnessed a murder. And in the episode, she's on the witness stand and asked to point out the murderer. You know, that dramatic.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are they in the room, you know, or do you see them in the courtroom? And so the actor who was playing the murderer, another unknown actor, his name was Carol O'Connor.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
So is that how they met then?
I guess, you know.
Huh.
It's just kind of weird that then 9 years later they end up in iconic roles.
Yeah.
On TV. So anyway, I thought that was kind of neat.
Wow, that's good. That's a good one.
The other thing, this is sort of our good thing of the week, I guess we'll call it, right?
Okay.
Is and I don't know if you saw this, but I guess it was like about a week ago or so. John Bon Jovi was in town.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the story?
I did. Yeah.
So for people who don't know, he's in town and he's doing like I don't know if it's a photo shoot or a video shoot, some sort of shoot, on there's a walking bridge that spans the river between Nashville and then like East Nashville. It really goes from like downtown, like the Broadway area to Nissan Stadium, you know, where the Titans play. And he sees this woman who is about to jump. She's over you know, on the edge, and he goes over. He and they didn't. I didn't in the story I read. They didn't name the woman that was with Bon Jovi,
right?
But like she's like an assistant, and they went over and talked this woman off the ledge.
Yeah.
I mean, saved her life. There's a video because there's like Metro Police cameras on that bridge.
Oh, really?
And so there's video. It's fairly clear.
Well, I did see video, but I didn't know it came from overhead somewhere.
Yeah.
Like it was a bridge video, not necessarily a helicopter.
No, that's what I mean. There are cameras on the bridge.
Like
yeah. on the metal work.
Yeah.
There on that bridge.
Yeah.
And you know how high that's the bridge that we walked over.
Yeah.
You know, that's a pretty high bridge.
Yeah. Kind of a long bridge too.
And so that was kind of cool that Bon Jovi and his assistant there saved this woman's life.
Man, right place, right time.
Yeah, and I just wonder if he said to her, you know, take my hand, we'll make it, I swear.
Oh, come on, don't cheapen it.
I'm sorry, but it's very cool. It's very cool, and you know, I saw that on Threads, I guess it was, and people were just talking about all these other stories about him. There was another story somebody told about, like, I forget, like he helped change a tire or something like that in New Jersey. But that, you know, I guess he's like a really good guy. So that was kind of that was a good story.
It is a nice story.
You know, I hope that woman gets the help that she needs.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
All right. So one of the things that we've been thinking about talking about, you want to talk about okay.
Yeah, it's all you.
Well, for like most people in this country, we tend to overeat and we are served too much in restaurants. There are a lot of excuses, but in the end, it is really not an excuse when you gain weight or get overweight over a long period of time. Maybe you've been like that since you were a child. But it really is a disease, and we need to start thinking of it as a disease. And so, with that in mind, I was fortunate enough to be able to go on I never say it right. I always want to call it terazeptide, but it's the Mounjaro injection for diabetes, type 2 diabetes, but I don't have diabetes, so I took it for weight loss and ended up losing about 45 pounds, and I did that for 6 months, and my last injection was on Valentine's Day this year, and so far I have been fortunate enough to be able to keep the weight off, but it is a struggle, and it's been a struggle for a long time, and I think the older I get, the harder it becomes. Having finished that and really feeling so much better about myself, both mentally, physically, able to walk up and down stairs easier. I mean, just clothes fitting better, and the whole attitude that you come away with, just feeling better about yourself when you feel like you're more in line with your weight. Started talking to Scott, and he also has problems keeping weight off, even though he was still a constant exerciser. And I'll let him tell the story, but that's my story. And I think it's one that we go online anymore now, we see all these people who are complaining about people who take Ozempic, and they have all the negative remarks, having, never tried it themselves, I'm sure. And I know that it's super expensive, and there are valid reasons why people are not on it when they probably should be. But I think in the end, like every medication you take, there is a risk and a reward. And, every pamphlet you get with your medication, usually the monograph will say something about the doctor has weighed out your benefits to your risk and thinks that this is a good plan for you. So, here's your warnings and when to notify your doctor or call an ambulance or whatever. So for us, the risk, and I had done extensive research on it, really, so felt comfortable with it, and I'm glad I did it. So Scott has a journey that's probably far more remarkable than mine, and it's taken a while, I think, for him to get comfortable to talk about it, but I know he's blogged about it over a period of time, and I just felt like it was time for us to be more upfront about how we're getting on top of our weight and trying to put out some of the misconceptions about taking Mounjaro or Wegovy, any of the GLP-1s now that are on the market. And there's, two major, I think, manufacturers of the real medication, but they're compounded by a number of different places now, so you can get them almost anywhere. So I'm going to just turn the table over to Scott and let him sort of tell his story.
Well, before I do, I think that we need to kind of explore a little bit more of your journey. I think it's really important to emphasize that, as you said, you took the last one in February.
Yeah.
And here we are in September.
Yeah.
And you've managed to keep the weight off.
Right.
You're still exercising.
Right.
You're eating right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is that, whether when you take this medication and people think, oh, it's a silver bullet, right? It's gonna cure everything, but that's not the case.
Right.
That there's still work that has to be done. That there's still, you still have to eat right. And then the problem is always when you come off of it, can you maintain that? And that's right. That's the thing for you that's been impressive, is that you've been able to do just that.
Well, and it's unfortunate too that even one of my physicians that I trust and admire greatly, who isn't actually the one who prescribed it for me, but I see him on a regular basis, and we talked about it the whole time. He knew I was on it, and his wife was on it, but she had diabetes, so there was a different reason for her to be on it. But he did, after I came off, ask me why I came off of it, and I said, well, it's very expensive, and I just can't, justify putting the money into it. I had dropped 45 pounds. I was no longer considered obese on the scales, that they use to determine, whether you're or normal weight, I guess, and then overweight and then obese. So, I didn't really, if I had gone to the doctor at that point and asked for it, and I'm sure nobody would have even given it to me because I wasn't enough overweight for that risk benefit to work out in my favor. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a journey, and it hurts my heart to read all the negativity that is around those comments on social media, because people need it. And one of the things that they say as a rule is you're just going to gain it back when you get off of it. And really, I think that's up to you. But my doctor said to me at that appointment, I forget the words, but in essence, you won't be able to keep it off on your own. And it was very discouraging, but at the same time made me even more committed to doing it, because I wanted to show up 6 months later and say, okay, here I am. And I did do it. That doesn't mean everybody can. And it's been, like I said, it's still a struggle. I have to still watch what I eat and drink, So it's everything you have to just take into consideration: how much you're going to exercise, how much you're going to eat, what are you going to eat. I mean, it's a life choice. It's a life changing experience, and I never did expect it to just be a one shot done and then go on back to living life like I used to. I mean, I knew that was not going to work for me. So.
Yeah, well, and I think that one of the differences between us is that, you've always been thinner.
Right.
And I guess just as you've gotten older,
yeah.
and your metabolism has slowed down,
right.
and the amount of baking that you did has gone up.
Right. That's true.
You ended up putting the weight on, but that's one of the differences. For me, I've always been heavy.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've fought with for, I don't know, 1656, carry the one, like 38 years now, 37 years, I think my senior year in high school was the first time that I actually lost weight. Like I said, I had a concentrated effort to lose weight.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you could tattoo Dunk into the side of my head because the way I yo-yo. And only old people will get that joke.
Yo-yo, not the donut.
Yeah, right. Dunk, D-U-N-C-A-N, not D-U-N-K-I-N. But anyway, and so, I mean, it was kind of funny. I remember my senior year in high school, I lost a lot of weight. I was on the tuna sub diet. I don't know. I never wrote a book about it, but I would eat one meal a day, and it was a tuna sub from the pizza place down the shopping center from the drugstore I worked at. But I lost weight, and I lost it quickly. And I remember I went to get fitted for tux for the prom, and then when I went back to pick up my tux and I tried it on again, it was too big.
Oh, wow.
I'd lost like 40 pounds. And so when I went away to college, I was really thin. But then in college, I just started drinking and eating pizza at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Or for breakfast.
What's that?
Or for breakfast.
Well, there was usually nothing left over. But anyway, so I really did yo-yo my weight up and down. I would come home in the summer after college, in between school years, and I would lose weight, and I'd go back to school and I'd put it back on. And then throughout my 20s and 30s, it was the same thing. I would lose 30 or 40 pounds, and then I put them right back on. And so it was 2010 when we got an email from work that said that our company would pay for everybody to get like blood work done, get your blood tested, and I went out and I told Julie, I said, I'm going to get this done and it's going to be bad and I need to do something about it. And so I started running, and it was bad. It was as bad or worse than I thought it would be. I started running and ran a lot. I was younger then. I would run 5 days a week and lift a couple of days a week. And I dropped like 70 pounds from like May or June, from June until December. So I ran a lot. I started running half marathons, and then in the spring of the next year, I did my first marathon. And I felt good. I looked good. But the thing was that the weight slowly came back on. There's an old axiom that you can't outrun a bad diet, and that is true. And so it was just a few years, and then most of the weight was back, and then I would kind of start losing again, and it would come back on and back and forth, and yada yada yada. And finally, then last year, it was August of last year that I went to the doctor again, got my lab work done. My cholesterol was through the roof, no surprise. I'll just be honest, at home, I weighed in at 301 pounds. At the lab, I was like 306 pounds. I don't know, clothes and whatever. It wasn't food because it was fasting. But anyway, I went to see the doctor. Doctor put me on a low dosage statin to work on my cholesterol, and I started losing weight. And so as of this morning, I was at 218.4. So nice. What's that? 83 pounds. 80.
Carry the one.
Yeah. And of course, my cholesterol is great right now. I was hoping the last time I went to see the doctor, I saw the doctor a couple weeks ago. I was hoping that she would take me off of the statin, but she didn't. It is the lowest dosage, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. So tell us how you got there. How'd you do it?
Well, I mean, last year I did it all by diet and exercise. I just, I did what I should have been doing all along. And then I did have a period in the winter where I did put some of it back on. And, it's kind of funny. I told my doctor, and I still think this is true, that I personally think it's harder to lose weight in the wintertime. I think that millions of years of our ancestors storing fat for the winter is still in our DNA. And so I think that we have a tendency to put weight on in the winter, as winter approaches. And so hopefully this year we can avoid that. But
I don't know. Candy corn is out.
That's right. It is candy corn season. But then, I started losing weight again. But I felt it was becoming a struggle. And so I did go see a different doctor, and they put me on a GLP-1 that they compound there, and some other stuff. And they also, I do have a problem with my thyroid, and that was the reason that my primary wouldn't put me on the GLP-1. But this other place, they were a little bit more aggressive with the medication for my thyroid. And so the last time I had lab work done, my thyroid numbers are good, as well as my cholesterol numbers. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. You know, you can't prove a negative, right? I don't know.
Right.
Like there are so many days that I don't feel like I get anything out of the medicine. Like I could eat anything, and it's just more willpower. And they do say that there's a certain part of the population that feels no effect from it. And I wouldn't say I felt no effect, because there definitely have been mornings,
Yeah.
where I just haven't felt like eating, and I'll just drink an Ensure or something like that. But I'm pretty excited that I'm about 20. My goal weight is 195, so I'm like 23 pounds away from that, and hope to hit that by December is my my target. I'm shooting for. But I do think, and you mentioned this too, that as you get older, it gets harder.
Right.
I think until you get to that, like, I think that there's like a point where people of all age, like, I think when you get to a certain age, or a certain biological age, whatever your actual calendar age is, where you do eat less.
Yeah.
And you kind of naturally lose some weight, I think. It always seems that, that happens, that older people like tend to eat less as sort of like your metabolism catches up with your appetite.
Oh, at what age do you think?
I think it depends on the person.
But give me a range.
I think probably in your 70s.
Okay.
You just start to eat less. But I mean, I don't know. Like, it's been a journey, and it's all of the sort of sayings and stuff about diet are true, right? It's not, it's like, you can't think of it as a diet. It's got to be a lifestyle,
right?
You can't just say like, okay, well, I'm at my goal weight now, I can just start eating whatever I want again,
right?
Yeah. And we just have to be smarter about it.
Well, and I personally, I have to reward myself sometimes. So I might grab some chocolate chips out of the freezer, or mix them with some peanuts, or, I think for me, there had to be, and there still has to be some moment in time where I give myself the grace to eat whatever I want, knowing that I might pay a bit of a price for it. I may have to walk a little longer the next day or something, but that's a choice I get to make, and so I'm fine with that. It's it's all on me. The problem comes when I decide to eat the chocolate chips, and then the next day I don't feel like I want to walk an extra, block or two to work off those calories. So it's all a give and take, and again, it's a struggle, but man, you feel so much better after you get the weight off, don't you? That it's kind of worth just keeping the fight going,
Yeah.
And I keep thinking one of these days it's going to get better. Maybe by the time I hit those 70s you're talking about, it'll all be cool again. But
well, I have no scientific proof for that. It's just anecdotal evidence more than anything else. But I mean, I think that, if you can't enjoy stuff every once in a while,
right?
I'm sorry, it's just, life's not worth living if you can't have, a big bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
The problem is that when you have, you eat unhealthy meals, like 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
And
or even 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. I mean, I've always, like, in the past, I've lost weight simply by counting calories. Like I never cared where those calories came from, within reason. It's not like I would go, well, I have 1,800 calories. I can eat, 5 quarter pounders
Right.
or whatever it would work out to, but I have 1,800 calories, whether those calories come from carbs or fats or proteins or whatever. Like I didn't care. All I cared about was that I ate at a deficit.
Yeah.
And I think with this doctor that we're actually both seeing this practice,
Yeah.
They're like they are more focused on where the calories come from,
Right.
than obviously they want you to stay under your allotment for the day, but they want to make sure that you're getting your calories from protein than anything else.
Yeah.
And that they're telling you to avoid gluten, I think, right?
Right.
Like they don't say carbs,
Right.
but they do say gluten,
Right.
And I think that like that's hard for me, man, because Scott loves himself some bread.
Yeah, I don't have any trouble giving up gluten until
Scott
I
loves
want a
himself some
cracker.
pasta.
A cracker every now and then is good,
But
in a sandwich.
yeah. So, but I think that I still like I think I'll still fall back on that. Like I'll like try to eat at a deficit, and I think I will avoid gluten. I mean, I haven't given it up. I have toast every once in a while, or we've had a little bit of pasta or rice or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, gluten and rice. But I've definitely cut back a lot on it. I mean, I used to eat toast with my breakfast every morning that had like eggs. I would have toast with it, and now it's hardly ever.
Yeah.
So I do think that it's important what you eat, but ultimately you can't. Like you can't. I'll say I can't because I don't want to. Again, I'm not an expert. I only know what works for me, and I can lose weight just by eating at a deficit. And
Yeah, but my question always back to you is how successful were you at keeping it off? So, and that's the problem is it's
but I stopped eating at a deficit.
Yeah, but do you want to? Is that the way you want to do it? It's just always eating at a deficit.
Well, you have to. I mean, if you're going to lose weight, you have to have a deficit.
But you'll soon be at your goal weight,
Knock
and
on
then
wood.
so how do we? But when you are,
Well, then I'll eat at my
your recommended calorie count.
Yeah.
But see, because what I understood was they said don't worry about your calories. You hit your protein, your carbs, and your fat goals every day, and don't worry about your calories, which seems weird to me, but that is what they told me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I completely buy into that, but I think that if you if you look at those 3 macros and you're hitting those, you're not going over, right? You're not like doubling the fat or doubling the carbs. You're
Right.
going to naturally hit somewhere around your calorie amount. Like you can't. I don't know that you could really blow through your calories without blowing through your fat and your carbs.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
So
that makes sense to me.
So there's a connection there. There's
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this, and we have talked about it at length already. But for me, it's eating more meat or protein, and then just letting the rest of it happen, as a side dish. Really, the carbs and the fat. The fat will come, I guess, with some of the meats, but I don't know. I mean, I'd look at my calories too, but it's hard not to after you've been doing it for these many years.
Yeah. I just think that once I'm at my goal weight, that um, I've kind of thought about it, because I mean, I know that like BMI is not the the measurement that doctors use anymore, right?
Right.
Because it's just so wildly dependent on different, body types and everything, and just your height and your weight are just not enough to
Right.
control for, how much, so we look at more like your body fat percentage, and your visceral fat percentage, and all that kind of stuff. But when I get to my goal weight is 195, but according to the BMI calculator, I'm still overweight at 195.
Mm.
And so I've thought about it a lot, and like I don't know about the apps that we're using right now, but I used to use another app called My Fitness Pal, and I'm sure all the other ones do. Probably Lose It does too. That you can put in what your desired weight loss like speed is, right? Like I want to lose a half pound a week, or a pound a week, or 2 pounds a week, or whatever, and then it calculates how, based on your weight and stuff, how many calories you can have, and in order to lose at that pace. And so I'll probably put in there that I want to lose like a half a pound a week, and just work on that, because I figure that there'll probably be days that I don't hit that,
Yeah.
and then for the rest of the week when I do, I may lose a little weight, and I kind of slowly want to work more. I'll work more on, increasing my muscle mass.
Weight training and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but all this is to say that it really is. It's a tough, like it's so hard in our world.
Yeah.
When you see people that are like, and I was there. I was considered morbidly obese. There's a guy that I follow on Threads I think he started at like 600 pounds, and he's down like 150 pounds. And he's chronicling his journey on that site. And, I root for him, because it's not easy,
No. It's not.
and he'll probably have setbacks, but he's real positive. And, like I said, I root for the guy, and I can't wait until he's, 220 pounds.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to, losing 3 or 4 people, I mean, but I think about, if you think about like grocery stores, and you think about places, that are called food deserts, where it's hard for people to get fresh produce, fresh meats, and, like it's no wonder that we're so fat as a country. When there's a McDonald's on every corner,
Yeah.
it's like it's easy to see how people put on weight.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
and to be frank about it, it's cheaper because, especially when went through a juicing phase. We've done everything in this house, but
Well, you went through a juicing
I went through a
phase.
juicing phase, and let me tell you something. All that fruit for the juice is expensive,
Yeah.
and trying to up our protein by eating more salmon and meat, and that's expensive. Chicken, all these things are. It's not. It's just far more economical to pick up a cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Right. Right.
Sadly.
Yep. Yeah. It's I know, like with inflation and places like Kroger charging more for stuff than they have to.
Yeah.
Our grocery bills have gone up significantly because of what we're eating.
Yeah.
Um, you know, rice milk. You're drinking rice milk, right? That's
Right.
more expensive than cow milk.
Yeah.
The almond milk that I use for my smoothies is more expensive than cow milk.
Yeah.
Um, you know, just a lot of the stuff that we're buying now is just costs more. And yeah, I mean, you could buy, I don't know, you could buy a DiGiorno's pizza, or you could buy a cauliflower crust pizza, and the cauliflower crust pizza is going to cost more.
Right.
You know, so I take some comfort. Not that we have gone out a lot anyway, but I mean, we eat almost all of our meals at home.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we're spending more at the grocery store, but we're not spending as much when we go, even the times that we go out to eat. Like when we went out, what was it, Friday night?
Yeah.
And went to a Japanese steakhouse, hibachi grill type restaurant. And like we brought home
enough for another whole meal.
At plus, because then we ended up throwing out the rice.
Yeah.
But we got, like, we could have gotten 5 meals out of those 2 meals. And that's when you said at the beginning, like our portion sizes are
down,
ginormous. But I mean, in general in America,
right?
Portion sizes are
ours are way down now compared to what we used to eat.
Right. So like when we make dinner, a lot of times, like if we have steak, a lot of times we have steak left over,
right?
And then I have that usually for part of my breakfast,
right?
Where before that would never have happened.
Right. I would leave steak on their plate.
So plus we give some to the dog.
Yeah, right.
So, but I don't know. I do feel like I feel a lot better. I love that I can fit into more clothes. And
our sex life has improved.
Yeah, she went there. But it has. I mean, it has. I mean, I think we both feel better about ourselves.
Right.
And there is a certain amount of that, I think, that it takes to get naked in front of somebody.
Right. For sure.
And if you don't feel good about yourself, like for me, I don't want to look at myself in a mirror. I don't want somebody else looking at me either.
Ditto.
So, there's a lot to that. I think there's the psychological benefits to it,
right?
In addition to everything else.
Yeah.
We can only hope that a year from now we'll be talking about how we've kept the weight off, and
and hopefully GLP-1s will be more accessible to the greater population, and that if any problems with it do start to arise, they can address those and make future doses safer. But right now, I'd do it all over again in a New York minute if I needed it. I would not hesitate.
Now, and you had some bad mornings off of that.
When I got into the higher doses, I did have some. It was like morning sickness type.
Mornings. Yeah, I remember you curled up on the couch
and just tried to sleep.
Not feeling well. And I really haven't had that dramatic of side effects.
Yeah.
My only side effect, and I'll tell y'all, the constipation is real.
Yeah.
That's the only.
I had terrible indigestion. I ate like almost a whole bottle of Tums.
Yeah.
While I was on it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think, like I said, hopefully like a year from now, we'll be talking about how good we still feel, and that we've kept the weight off, and we're really psyched. And, like I said, for me that, this has been a constant battle for most of my life. I'm looking forward to that we can, celebrate a year from now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, congrats on the weight loss so far. You've
Thanks.
done great.
You too.
And you look great.
Oh, you do too.
So,
yeah, it's been good. I will say that, and Julie mentioned that I've written blogs about it. I've got one really, really long blog post that I'll publish once I reach my goal, because I've just like I've started and stopped diets before, I've started and stopped blogging about it, and
Mm.
I don't want to put another one out there until I've hit my goal. But I actually did a small post today. I added a small section to it today
Mm.
because as I've gotten older, like I said before, back in 2011, I ran the Little Rock Marathon, and as slow as I was, it's still my best marathon time. Was my first, and I've run a bunch of marathons, half marathons, um, all sorts of distances, and I was starting to think about running St. Jude again in December, and I can't make it. I can't make it. We can't make it out to Memphis to run it live, but they have a virtual race that you can do. And so I thought about doing it, but I don't know, man. I think that my long distance days are over. I don't.
Running is hard on your body.
It is, and um, I don't know. I think I'm gonna stick to like 3 to 5 miles on my, like a 5 miles on my long weekend run, and not. I just can't do more than that,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks.
Well, I know it disappoints you, but I still look at you and I just can't believe. I mean, because you go to the gym twice a week, you ride your bike every other weekend. Last weekend it was like 30 miles, right?
Yeah,
So if you can ride your bike 30 miles, go to the gym twice a week, and run every other day, then, or even walk, 'cause even when you just walk, you walk a long ways. So, um, there's no reason to hang your head on any of that. But I know it disappoints you because you like running. But
yeah, and I kind of knew that like my marathon days were over. Like I was just like, I just can't. Like it's just too much,
yeah,
you know. But that's why I kind of thought like half marathons, I could do that. Like it's only 13 miles,
yeah,
like it's not that bad. And I've done, I don't know, man, I've probably done a dozen or 15 of them in my life,
yeah.
you know. And
One knee surgery.
Yeah, but I did the Little Rock Marathon again after my knee surgery. I mean, I've done distance after my knee surgery,
Yeah. Well,
but
my point is just that it's hard on you.
yeah, I actually think I need to get my knee scoped again.
Okay. Let's wrap this up. Nobody cares to hear about all this.
I
So,
know. Well, I think that I think it's important. I think people need to talk about it, and I think that you know, if you're on a journey, if or that like I don't know, you look in the mirror or whatever, you just know that you need to lose weight. Like you just have to start,
yeah.
and do like for me, this time around, I did as much on my own as I could, and then I got help. And so
Right.
I would say the same thing, like do it on your own, but then if you need help, like get help. Whether
If
it's
you can,
yeah, but I mean, if it's therapy,
which is also
you know,
expensive.
yeah, it can be, or just seeing like a nutritionist or doing research or whatever, you know.
But I don't want this to come off as sounding like you got to pick yourself up with your own bootstraps
No, not
because,
at all. That's why I said
okay.
get help. I
Oh, I
mean,
know, but
if you need help, it's because it is tough. It's hard,
it
man.
is.
It's really hard to lose weight.
And you may need chemicals to make that happen.
You very well may.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
certainly not. I mean, but like you said, I mean, that stuff can be expensive,
right.
you know. I, I, I think there's the cost benefit of it as well. That, like if you could sacrifice, if you can sacrifice now, you're going to end up saving money, right? Talk about you can eat less,
Right.
Your grocery bill may go up, but you might be going to the grocery store less often.
Right.
And you have more leftovers.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
In long term, your health will be better, which may save you money.
Right.
Like you can't even imagine how much money you might save in your older years by being more healthy today. So anyway, we just kind of wanted to highlight our experience and let everyone know if you feel like it's something that would benefit you, don't listen to social media.
People never listen to social media.
No. Talk with your doctor about it and just make an informed decision about it. And then if you can afford it, go for it because we're two people who've done it and a big advocate for it. So.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I guess that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed our show and hope you found it informative and maybe a little entertaining. And we will. We're actually going to be dark this week because we're going to be out of town. But maybe when we get back, we'll have stories to tell of our trip to Las Vegas, right?
We might, but you know what they say.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It happens in Vegas. It stays in Vegas. So.
All right. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in about a week and a half or so. Take care.